chefs. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. We have 3 very, very cool brands here. I'm super excited.
Yeah, we are too.
Can you guys
very exciting.
introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, everybody. I'm Chef Will from, I'm outside of Charlotte, North Carolina in the U.S., and I run Chef Will Cooks. It's a personal private chef business, some small catering, but mostly just in-home dinners.
I'm Chef David. I'm from Maine, but I actually have clients that range all over New England because I started in Boston, things like that. So I kind of work on a farm. I run my own farm, that is, and I do a lot of farm-to-table stuff. And my business is called DF Private Chef. We've been running for about 5 years now.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. My name is Victor. I'm down in Africa, South Africa. The name of my brand is Chefs David. I have been a private chef since just after COVID, 2019 till now. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Going in the same order, how did each of you start thinking about creating your own brand? Was it something that just happened? How was the inspiration behind it?
I started doing the private chef stuff kind of as I was working in restaurants. I spent 8 years in restaurant kitchens. When I had the free time, I would do private dinners when people asked me to. And eventually I got kind of tired of doing the restaurant life and sort of just had the realization that I could do this full time. It was around the end of lockdown that I started up as well and just needed to do something different. And it kind of happened organically that I started doing this all the time. But it got pretty busy pretty quick and just been going with this for about 3 years ever since.
That's super cool.
Very cool. I was in restaurants, probably starting at like 14, doing dishes for like some lady down the street. I begged her to like cook and she let me wash her dishes, things like that. Then I moved up the ranks from like fast food to nice restaurants. And then I went to culinary school in Boston in 2015. My first year there, I met a Harvard student that came to my school asking if anyone would be a private chef. And I kind of just cooked for that girl and her friends for like the next 4 years. We both graduated at the same time. I kind of lost all my clientele. So I was always working in restaurants the whole time. Every single one of my days off, I was trying to book dinners. I don't talk about it much on here. Nobody really knows, but I do like cannabis dining, and I'm the cannabis consultant for the state of Maine. So I've always been doing cannabis dining and normal dining, and I kind of have had 2 personas for a long time. I did find the Take a Chef platform and just took off from there, and it's been a big contributor of most of my clients. So it's nice.
That's super interesting. Thank you, Chad. Victor?
So my journey started in 2012 when I enrolled as a chef in culinary school. And after that, I've been working in the vineyards, mostly here down in Cape Town, Salem area. And after that, in 2017, I moved to the cruise ship industry. I worked there until 2018, late to early 2019. And then COVID hit and everything went off. And then I was forced to look for something that I could curate on myself to create a brand. So I started going door by door in the COVID, cooking soups. It was cold and everyone was being encouraged to eat home stuff. So I just thought maybe soups would help people. So I started with delivering soups. And then one of the clients would started saying, why you come to cook for us like twice or something, 2 or 3 days a week? And then I started like that. And then after that, he started also to tell his friends and family. And then I started it was like a clan for me. I would cook for him, his cousins, his sister. Unfortunately, they moved to Norway. And then after that, I continued sourcing other customers, creating my network. I would just go, even when I'm shopping, wear my uniform. And anyone would ask me, what do you do there? I would get a chance. I would tell them I'm a private chef, this and this. And then some of them would immediately give us your number. Then the next month, they would call me or go to the houses, I could cook. And then I started to venture into like proper like fine dining. And then I actually have like a fine turn-up. People were calling, people were booking. And as time goes on, I think like a chef in 2021. Yes. So here in South Africa, we were just few chefs on Take a Chef. So it boosted me also the Take a Chef platform because I was one of the first, I think the first 10 chefs to be on Take a Chef down here in South Africa. So from there, the private chef business has been going well.
That's a great story. Thank you, Chef.
Yeah, welcome.
Chef David, how did you find your niche in the market? Did you focus on a particular cuisine? I know you did these two things, it's super interesting. It's a very new and very particular concept. So tell us about that a little bit, please.
Well, I was in culinary school at the time, and I was always at restaurants before that. That was like the reason why I went to culinary school. I wanted to learn more. And when I was in culinary school, when I met that girl and started cooking for her, I honestly don't tell a lot of people about this, but when I was in the restaurant industry, the closer I got to fancier food and people I looked up to, the more I kind of leaned away from it and realized that like so much of the food was going in the trash. Nobody cared about where it was sourced, and it really took a big stride on my mental health. And I was working at one of the best restaurants in Boston, and I just left there and went to go work on farms. And I completely left this really nice restaurant and just worked on farms for the next couple of years. I learned how to farm my own things. Again, I was always doing private dining at the same time. I've probably been on Take a Chef for like 5 years now. But before then, I was always self-promoting myself, and I was very well known in the cannabis industry. I would cook for like the people that form the laws and things like that, and show up at these like empowerment movements where like in the state of Mass, they would try to have priority over people that could get licensed first, like people that have been affected by the law of cannabis, maybe in their family, people that are a minority, just so like it doesn't monopolize and things like that. So I would be at all those conventions, getting to know the lawmakers and things like that. And I was always just trying to do farm to table, push farm to table. I would visit all these farms and just work with farmers and things like that. So I've always just kind of been more attached to the origins of food. And again, I used to glorify all the Michelin things and things like that. And I have a lot of Michelin friends, and we value different things, in my opinion. And so it's just always kind of been this tug of war that I had to play.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we kind of have a similar background. I don't really do professional cannabis cooking in my state since it's not legal. But I have a lot of friends that are involved in that industry as well. And in regards to the farm to table stuff, I live on 0.18 acres. I'm not really sure what that is in hectares, but it's not a whole lot of land. But I have a crazy garden out back that I use all of my own stuff whenever I possibly.
Okay.
So I grow all my own garnishes and flowers, and a lot of vegetables. Working on the fruits, they take a little while longer, but every year it gets more and more intense, and so that's a big part of what I do. And I did not do the culinary school route. I went to undergrad and got a degree in fermentation science and chemistry. So I thought when I was coming out of school that I was going to go into the wine and beer industry. And a lot of my friends are in that world. I decided kind of after that I liked food a lot more. I took a few fermented food classes and was really interested in all the preservation aspects of things. And I've always foraged as well. That's like a huge part of my culinary niche. So I'm always taking plants and mushrooms and trying to incorporate those into my menus as much as I can. And I'm sort of with you on done the Michelin style dining thing, and frankly that's just not what my customers want a lot of the time. They want to be fed. They don't want to eat food that just makes them think and doesn't actually fill them up. And so I've kind of fallen into the demographic of like, I'm going to give you full-size plates. You're going to get 4 or 5 courses, not 12. And it's going to be more of a meal that people are comfortable with maybe some new ingredients here and there. But all in all, like, I'm cooking for 70th birthdays and anniversaries and things like that, and people just want a nice steak.
Do you guys feel like your brand and your concept came after finding the market that you wanted to be in, or was it the other way around?
On my brand now, I don't make like fine dining. I make like contemporary fine dining. So I mix fine dining with comfort food always. So I always make sure the food is tasty and it has got special ingredients. So I think coming back to your question, I think it's all about learning from the customers rather than creating something. I think like cooking business is not like it's not like any other business that you can just create something, then you say, guys, come, I made this car, come and buy what. You have to be patient with everyone, and it's always changing. It's every.
I think Victor summed it up pretty well. When I was younger and pushing these dinners, I wanted more of like a fancier aspect to everything. I thought it was cool. I thought all that was cool and doing multiple courses. And then in the recent years, I've realized I wanted to kind of take the power away from food and kind of put it more towards the experience and the memory. We're not restaurants. We're not just upkeeping a menu. We're creating an experience for somebody. Where I hear more and more time after more and more of people just like thanking me that they didn't have to cook, or like thanking me that they could get all their friends together and this and that. So it took me a while, a few years, to realize that I'm not cooking food. I'm more so making an experience. Even on Take a Chef, I might send the menu to everybody because you need to. But the second I send something to somebody, I'm like, hey, there is my menu, but I'm very super flexible. I see that it's like Will said, this is for a 70th birthday party. You must have something nostalgic that you like eat on your wedding day or something cool, or like tell me about that. So like I'm always every single menu. If I have 20 menus, they're all a little different in every way. I think cooking forces you to be present. So it's all seasonal. I'm only using what's available. I'm not just going to the store and grabbing stuff. Like Will said, I do all my foraging and things like that. I foraged like pounds of huckleberries the other day. So just throw those on the dish, and people are more so catering to what people want instead of what I want to make. And to me, that's way more important.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. And just every event is different and every event is custom. So people ask me all the time, can you send me your menu? And I'm like, I don't have I have menus that I've done, and I have a running list of all of those. I can gladly send you pictures and everything, but it's going to be made for you. It's not somebody else's food. So I think that's the most important thing when you're trying to like really imprint what you do and what your service is and what differentiates you from just another restaurant. Like this is it's probably the most luxurious way to dine, and generally it's a really special experience for people. So I think you have to like make sure you hold up that end of it for them. And kind of in my area, I service a more rural part of the country, and there's not a lot of great dining options in a lot of the smaller towns. And so in a lot of these places that are naturally very beautiful in the mountains and things, like where there are a lot of vacation homes, do a lot of dinners for big groups that are coming in for family reunions and things like that. And they're in a really nice place, beautiful setting, but there's nowhere to eat. And so they want food that can feed their whole family, like from grandpa all the way down to the 7-year-old a lot of times. And so I have to like kind of balance each of those things every time when I'm planning these menus. And the first question I always ask is if anybody has any dietary restrictions, likes or dislikes. And so that gives me kind of my framework for how I'm going to build their menu and how I'm going to make it work for them.
Is that why did you guys choose to name your brand in such a personal way instead of choosing something more general, or like going for for example, I'm just saying whatever comes to my mind, but like elegance, private dining? or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think in my case, like, I'm an army of one is what I always say. And I rarely ever have a second set of hands. So my brand is just me. And like, I think inevitably that's what you're selling in private dining is the experience of you're interacting with the chef. The food is going from the chef's hands to you. It's not going through a server or a busboy. And like, you can see me make it. You can discuss with me what I made for you. And I think people tend to recognize like how special that is in private dining and how unique it is. But like, that's the reason why I call myself Chef Will Cooks is that's what I do. Like, I'm not really ever trying to sell any direct menu to someone. I'm trying to sell the experience of let me come to you and do this for you. This is a service.
Yeah. So in my experience, I'm not entirely the OCF is not entirely up to Chef Vic, but like my brand is called Chef Diaries. So I always leave room for other chefs because but I always tell them our menu tonight is going to be inspired with a chef Tanda. It's gonna make this and this is very. I will give them confidence that this chef is very good in this kind of cuisine that they choose. So I always do that because I don't want to limit myself. Someone will come and say we want Caribbean food, then at the end of the day I'm saying no, I don't know how to make Caribbean food, and sometimes they are like my regular guests or regular clients. So I always want to make them at home, make them feel at home, all the time.
That's super interesting as well. I love that.
I personally come to realize that you're selling yourself ultimately. You're selling your views and how you cook and everything like that. And it's actually funny because I got lucky with my initials actually rhyming with private chef. So it's also a reason why I named it DF Private Chef. And my last name's Ferragamo, which is super Italian. So it sounds fancy and this and that. So I kind of always wanted to include it somehow, but not have it be the name of the brand. But in my opinion, your customers are buying you and they want to know more about you and things like that. I have so many people that end up following my Instagram that don't even care about the cooking at that point. I play drums, I do video work, I do gardening, I do like really cool videos all day. I have like I post daily about what I'm doing, like day in the life stuff, and majority sometimes it might not even be food based, and that's where you get the most interaction because you're showing your customers that, hey, like, I'm just a human, or I'm not a restaurant. We're not going to dial things in perfectly. We're going to make everything custom so that they get to really get an insight into your life. And in my opinion, that seems to be the best way for me to sell myself to clients. So I've always merged it together sort of a little bit like that. And people really like to, hear my band play, and I'll go to someone's house after cooking for them a few times, and I won't forget this. So the son liked one of the songs, and she would always ask me to play it. And the son would be like just dancing around on the floor. So like, you really get to sell yourself, and it becomes more than just food. Again, you're selling an experience. You're selling way more than just food. Food's going to be here before and after you leave. I don't want it to hold that much power, which sounds kind of awful as a private chef. I want there to be more to it. So you kind of get to sell yourself, and how lucky do I get to be and do that? So
yeah, I think it's crazy how these very different concepts work for different destinations and different targets. It's incredible. What about like the visual and language part of this brand identity that you guys have built? Is there anything specific that you do? Chef Victor, you were saying, for example, that when you go shopping, you're wearing your uniform. Is there any other thing?
That's a
like
good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never done that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Is there anything else like that you do that you think represents the essence of your brand?
So yeah. So
Actually,
visual art as well. And so I designed my own logo, and I have shirts as well. And so you can kind of see it. These are just all like ingredients that are really special to me and are local to North Carolina. So it just features like the things that I'm going to be putting in you. So I wear that around as much as I can. I get a lot of questions about it. And it has like my Instagram handle on the sleeve and like my business name on the back. I try to keep it a little more casual when I'm around. I wear a chef coat enough. So, and I'm in the grocery store all the time anyway. So in my neck of the woods, I don't know if it would go over as well. I like the idea in a city though, for sure. That's really cool. But yeah, I post business cards up in local businesses as well. And I just kind of let the marketing happen. I give away a lot of cards and they kind of make their way through the community.
The artwork is beautiful.
Thank you.
I will say I've been told my logo is kind of misleading. It has no clue. But I kind of like that. It's literally just my initials on like a marble slate. So you kind of have no clue until you like turn the card over and it's like, oh, private chef, blah, blah, blah. But I've gone through multiple logos and things like that, and I've decided to pick on that one for some reason because it's just very simplistic. It kind of leaves an open door, okay, leaves you intrigued instead of like throwing a bunch of stuff in their face, which I used to do. So, but I'm not opposed to that. I like the simplistic approach. One thing I noticed at the grocery stores though, I don't wear a chef outfit, but I'll have like the whole thing full, like when you're checking out, and everybody's always like, oh my God, what are you making tonight? Oh my God, can you come cook for me? Oh my God, you eat so healthy. So like that does bring up a lot of dialogue there, and I can only imagine if I was wearing an outfit at the same time, then because there's so many times where people ask you for like your business card or ask you for your Instagram and things like that, and they don't hit you back up ever. And I'm so used to that. So I wonder if the chef outfit would actually like set it in stone and be like, oh my God, he was actually doing that. He's not just saying it.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Legit.
I'm probably going to try that. I do live in a weird area where sort of like a mix of Will and Victor, where I have clientele that I just want a steak dinner, man. I want steak and mashed potatoes. I don't want any of that other stuff on there. And then just like the other day, the woman was like, oh my God, my husband's going to be getting home from Japan. I want to do a tasting menu. And we literally did like a 20-course tasting menu with like super fancy bonbons at the end. Everything's made from scratch. So like I can definitely make anything. People always ask me like, how do you know how to do all that stuff? And I always say like, if you have a box of crayons, you're not just going to draw with one crayon. Like it's just food. So I don't know. I don't want to bring that up, but.
No, I love that. I think it makes a lot of sense with the logo thing that you were talking about. It just leaves room because you like to do all the different things, and your market is so like variant. So you leave room to experiment and create and build from zero. So I think it's literally what you're going for without saying anything.
Yeah, it's very open.
Victor, you were going to say something else.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was going to say visuals and those social media platforms are very important. So it depends with the area, like Dave is saying. So usually you would find sometime most of the people, they don't like, I've realized that most of the people down here in South Africa, the ones that I cook for, I try to post on Instagram and TikTok, wherever. I hardly get responses from there. But if I post from LinkedIn, I do my website, and then also the thing that I started to develop now, although it's also going back to the Instagram page. When I create a menu, I put a scan code there underneath the menu so that it will redirect you to my pages, to the first page, and then I put my also the link to the LinkedIn page. But LinkedIn and websites usually works better. You
LinkedIn?
I never thought about that either. I'm going to go make a LinkedIn.
I have one, but it doesn't do anything. So it's kind of funny how that works in other parts of the world.
There's so many people from all over the place that are coming to Cape Town and just looking for a corporate experience.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, it's crazy how even the platforms that you use will determine the kind of clientele that you get, right? Like Instagram is going to be a portfolio for a certain demographic, and then LinkedIn for this other one.
I get a lot of
business cards at the grocery shop are going to be for this other very specific sector.
Definitely.
My fanciest clientele come off and take a chef.
Really? That's very interesting.
It's a mixed bag for me. Just being where we are, like I said, it's pretty rural here. And like I'm like 45 minutes north of Charlotte, which is kind of a larger port, with the large airport and everything there. So we get the like higher end clientele in the city, and then like my fancier, a lot of my dinners from Take a Chef or bachelorette parties. There's like a big lake nearby me that's like a big vacation destination with a ton of like 15-person houses, and so those are a lot of the ones that I do there.
I'd say a majority of my dinners are like bachelorette parties, and it's always everybody like coming off the lake, and they're all just like scattering to their own rooms. They're like, "Are you done with the shower yet? Are you done with the shower yet?" And then they all get like dressed up and fancy.
Yeah, I love the Airbnb of the night before last, cooking for one of those.
Cool.
That's like a normal dinner, I feel like, for me.
Me too. That's I'd say like at least 20% of my business now is bachelorette parties, and it's just kind of fun.
Is there anything specific that you do to adapt your brands to those kinds of events?
To just the bachelorette parties or other stuff?
Yeah, like something, because bachelorette parties are this whole concept on their own, right? So there has to be probably some kind of tropicalization. For you, Chef Victor, for example, the corporate events are probably very different. How you present yourself without losing that essence of what you guys do. But how you present yourself and how you interact with the people is probably very different, right?
Yes. So usually these customers are especially in the corporate industry. So usually you don't want to make it more complicated. You just create like simple menus, and then with corporates, that's when you get a lot of notes, because there are different people. You get people who are on diets, people who wants like simple healthy food. So it's a lot of work. So you just need to get the notes from them, what they actually need. Then you curate the menus according to that generally.
Well, yeah, but there has to be a little bit of a challenge in staying true to yourself while also being a private chef, because of all the flexibility that you have to have, right?
Yes. So yeah, so those most of the challenges then that you meet is like the most people, they'll ask you to maybe something that you can't, and maybe after you tell them that, because normally I would tell them this, I don't know how to make this, and maybe I can offer you this. So at the end of the day, they can accept, but most of the times you would realize maybe you didn't meet their expectations, right? But most importantly is to give them like a few more options to choose from, so that at least you can meet in between you and the client.
How would you approach that, Chef David?
Definitely talking about what Victor said. I've noticed that some clients like to go back and forth a lot and try to really narrow things down. And then some clients, which is actually funny, kind of like higher end clients, usually just want it done. They just want a menu sent to them. They don't want too many options. They don't want to deal with it. So you kind of have just like that mixed bag of people that very excited, and then maybe someone that's hired private chef a million times and they don't want to go through the rigmarole of trying to figure out what to make. I got a lot of people that are implying that I'm the private chef and that all that work should be done already. So it's kind of goes back and forth, and you kind of have to feel out every customer and see what they want. But I'll always start off very mild, like, hey, here's my menu. I've learned to have a menu on retainer, so I always make a seasonal menu, sort of like I'll have like a early summer, midsummer, late summer, early fall. So it kind of gets reiterated a few times, and then it'll always be like subject to change. So I've learned to just send them that and then see where to go from there and make sure that menu doesn't have too many options on it. So, but I always remind everybody I'm super flexible. I there's a lot of customers that once you send them something, they think they're stuck and they don't want to ask, and they are like worried. They're like, oh man, like this is what he has. So I always remind them like, hey, this is just a menu. We can make whatever you want. We can scrap it all. We can do whatever you want. Don't feel stuck. So I always just keep that door open for them and try to remind them that I'm a private chef, not a restaurant. I'll make whatever you want. I'll show up to your house and make you mac and cheese, or I'll show up to your house and make you 20 courses. So that's how I kind of deal with it. I just try not to talk too much because the customers don't always want it.
It's fair.
Yeah, it sounds like we've had kind of the same experience.
Yeah.
It's like it does depend a lot. The bachelorette parties, a lot of times it'll be like the friend that's the most type A and wants to plan everything out that's actually the one that's interacting with you. And in those cases, they want to know everything. They want the schedule and what they're going to eat. It's got to be everything in place. And a lot of the times, the ones that, like you said, have done this before, they're like, yeah, make whatever you want. Like, we're allergic to shellfish, but otherwise, make what you want. And so when that happens, I'm kind of the same way. I keep like a rotating stack of menus based on like what ingredient I have around me at the time. Like in the summer, peaches and corn and wild mushrooms and things like that. Those are what are going to be on my menus, and that's what I'm going to send you if you ask me for something direct. But then I also have clients that I have a lady that is very particular, and I did her 80th birthday earlier this year, and she's like, I want chicken satay, I want lava cakes, and I want a shrimp cocktail. Yes, ma'am. Understood. I will make you whatever you want, just like you said. And like, doesn't matter where it comes from, doesn't matter what I have to do to get the ingredients. I'll make it happen. But it all depends on the event. It all depends on the client. And like, I think the flexibility is a big part of why you do this. It's like you said, we're not a restaurant. Like, I'm shopping at the same grocery store as you are. And so like, the sky's the limit. Whatever you want me to make, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, but where's the line, between whatever you want me to make, I'll make it happen, and this is who Chef Will Cooks is?
It's always going to be filtered through my lens and my palate. And so, like, take the one that told me exactly what she wanted. Like, I'll make you chicken satay, but it's going to be with kind of a southern twist. Like, I change up my satay sauce and, like, use sorghum molasses and things like that are like local ingredients. So it's going to have my flavor on it at the end of the day. And like, I kind of like the challenge sometimes. I get a little bored with making filet and mashed potatoes. And so when I have the client that says, hey, I want this very specific thing that frankly, sometimes I've never even heard of. I had a couple that got engaged in a little tiny mountain house out in the middle of nowhere, and they lived in New York. Her family was from South Korea. His family was from South India. And they had just eaten all over the world and done all this crazy stuff. They're huge foodies. And he was like, I want like 7 different courses that are representative of our relationship together. I was like, okay, sure. So really there is no line. Like, as long as I have the time to make it happen, that's kind of the deciding factor, is how busy I am. But some of them, like, the ones that tell me like go nuts, I'm gonna go nuts. If they say like, hey, we're a little picky, like we want the classic comforts, we want the mashed potatoes and the mac and cheese, like I'm more than happy to do that. Like, you're paying me regardless. I'm here and I'm gonna do the same job. But like the ones that really tell me to throw caution to the wind and like make them something they haven't before, I'm absolutely gonna.
Yeah, it sounds super fun as well.
Yeah, it is. And like, it keeps this job fresh. Like, the thing that burned me out of the restaurant business was every day is the same. And every day is completely different.
Yeah, so I think also to add on what we were saying, I think creating your own flavor is something important, because you'd find out that these clients that are coming from all over the world, they are different cultures, they've tasted before. And from the first time, it was very difficult. You even doubt yourself, but you see with the time going, like you make one dinner a year, you give them the first course. Especially, I always make sure that the first and the second course is up to standard. I'll put my own taste, my own flavors. After they taste that, you see everyone is relaxed, everyone is happy. Second course, main course, up to dessert, everything now is flowing. So sticking to your flavor, sticking to your something that is really important. Definitely.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I 100% agree. All right. Well, how do you describe your brand in 3 words? Like, what are 3 core pillars of your brands?
For me, I would say fresh, seasonal, and adaptive.
Love it.
Those are good ones.
Didn't even take them.
I would definitely say seasonal, inclusive, and somehow farm and forage at the same time. But
I think I would center mine on the service aspect of it. So I would say maybe fun, discreet, and what was the other word? I think fun, discreet, and confidential.
I like it.
Those are great words as well.
Get a lot of celebrities in their way.
yeah,
You guys, last question. What would be your best advice for someone struggling to create a brand or is struggling to get inspired or put down their concept off a brand?
let's say the second you put it down, you're never going to do it. And I would just say, even if you think you're failing, that's like the imposter syndrome that probably never goes away. And if you're failing, it means you care because you're stressed about it. And it just shows that you care so I would just say, just keep doing it and just allow yourself to work on the side. This isn't going to be your main gig. So like, just remember that it's all going to take time. And like someone like me, I'm on my 10th year of fine dining. I'm on my 10th year of private dining. In 2025, it'll be my 10th year. I've only been able to self-support myself for 1. Wow. So if you stop, you're never going to do it. And you hear celebrities say that. You hear every single person that's successful say that. Because if you don't put in the time, nothing's going to come from anything. You're not going to manifest anything. So if you feel like you're failing, that's a great feeling because it shows that you care. If you didn't feel like you were failing, you probably don't care enough. So you have that double-edged sword.
Love
The best
it.
piece of advice I've heard out of this was from a private chef in Austin that gave me some really heartfelt advice when I started out that has helped me out a lot. And his whole thing is just like, he started out just giving out flyers and like everything was hands-on, and he was like throwing his entire life into this, and like you said, felt like he was failing doing it. And he said, you just have to jump. And in my case, the jump was getting out of the restaurant fine dining world and allowing myself to focus on this full time. And this is my full-time gig. I tried to do it while also maintaining the restaurant life, and it was just it wasn't working. And I'm able to, this fits my lifestyle a lot better, and I'm able to devote myself to this all the time. And it's one of those things where he also said you have to be willing to do something with it every single day. Like you said, the minute you stop, it's done. And so like you have to be just willing to like let the ball roll and let it pick up speed, because it will. If you're good at it and you put in the work, the client come to you.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah.
I would say everything start from the bottom. So whenever you want to start a private chef business, it's gonna be stressing. You think that you will never find any customers. And I think one thing that is very important is you should maybe start with if you are having a difficult time finding customers, start with a family. Cook for a family, make it formal. Make a formal dinner for the family. Make a formal when maybe your friends are having a party or a birthday. Chip in, offer them something, being charged there, and then from there you will definitely get customers there.
Feed their rich friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the ones you want to go to first.
Those are always the ones with the boat.
All right. Well, guys, this was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm looking forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, Victor,
Yeah,
David.
great meeting all you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be in touch. Thanks, y'all.